Alright, let's get into it by adding a cube. I will straight up make it editable. Then I will go into edge mode. I'm going to select that edge, right click, select the bevel tool and bevel that out with 0 subdivision. Something like that. Now we can start to delete things, like we can delete those polygons. I will just delete them, then I will start to turn this mesh into a more uniform mesh. So let me right click, select the loop cut tool, hold down shift and add that loop in. I will do the same thing to the other side, but since we have those endguns, loop cut will not work. So we need to enable the stop cut at endgun. I will turn this off, hold down shift, add this one in. Then I will go into points mode, right click, select the polygon pen tool and connect those points. Let me select the move tool, select those ones and move them along the Z. Perfect. Now I will start to work on the bottom part. As you can see, it is a circular shape. It is always easier to turn angular things into circular shapes than turning circles into angular shapes. So for that reason, I am doing this part lastly. So let's right click, select the fit circle tool and turn those polygons into a perfect circle. I will also at the same time scale that down. I will tap T. I will adjust scale, then I will move up, going to points mode, I will tap E and move things around. The top part doesn't have to be that angular, you know, we can move things around to turn the shape into something, you know, softer. Okay, that looks good to me. Now let's drop this one into a side division surface so that we can have a better idea about the shape. By the way, let me turn off the work plane and then going into the edge modes. I will select those edges and heat them up so that I can have a better idea about the shape. I see that. Should move these down just a little bit. Okay, that looks really good to me. Maybe, just maybe, we can scale these along the X. Perfect. By the way, let me check the density. I suppose we need something more uniform, so I will hold down shift, add in a loop in. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Next up, we need thickness, obviously, so I will hold down Alt and put this object into a thicken object. If you don't have this object, that feature, what you can do is you can select all the polygons and, you know, extrude them inwards. But since we have this amazing, you know, object, I will be using it. I will select the thicken and then increase up the thickness. I will also delete that subdivision tag. We need something larger, like 35. Now I will apply the thicken object, right click, connect objects and delete. Next up, what I want to do is drop in a loop around here and then select those loops and slide them down. Just to make that area a bit pointier, if that makes sense. I will also move that up. Let me select this back with the loop tool, selection tool, slide them around until I have what I need. Yeah, that looks pretty good. For the bottom part, before moving on, we should make some adjustments. We need to make an inset, then extrude that part down, then make another inset. I will also drop in a loop around here, and it looks amazing. For the inside, I suppose we need to remove that loop, right click, dissolve, then select those ones and move them up. We can also flatten them out. I will scale them up. And yeah, we need something like that. Right now it is looking a bit broken with those, you know, random polygons. But when the subdivision is activated, it is going to look quite well. So what I want to do next is select those ones, make an inset to tighten up the bottom, and then we are good to go. I mean, by that we are okay to make the subdivision surface editable. We have those upcoming details, so it is necessary to have more polygons. So what we are going to do is just make the subdivision surface editable. By the way, right now I am at level 2. 1 might be too low, so I will set this to 2. Then make the sub editable. I will tap C, and then I'm going to start to work on the details. And the first detail I'm going to work on is that part that goes around the chair. So firstly, I will go into edge mode, double click on that loop. Then I will right click, select the bevel tool and bevel these out with 0 subdivision. While those edges are selected, I will hold on Control and click on the polygon modes. Now I will right click, select the extrude tool, make sure that the caps option is turned off, turn this off, and extrude them up. I will put the object into a subdivision surface. I'm sure to change the name of this object to say chair main. Then I will put this one into a subdivision surface. I will orbit around, and it seems like we need to make some adjustments, obviously. So the first thing I'm going to do is select those edges on the sides and slide them off with the slide tool. Right click, slide them off slightly, not too much. I will double click, slide those. Then I will select the both loops, right click, select the bevel tool, but this time I will change the subdivision to 1 and bevel them just a little bit. That subdivision amount will make it possible to select those edges in between and, you know, move them along their normals. To do that, we need to select the slide tool, apply the tool, then hold down shift. This is going to move those edges along their normals. And in fact, let me bring back the subdivision surface. I don't know where it went. I will get this one in. Then I will hold down shift and slide these edges down. Okay, that looks way better than that part. And what is more, it is looking more realistic. Okay, let's back out. And as you can see, it is looking quite well. Next up, we have those cuts. So to add those in, firstly, let me split that part out. No need to make the process more complex. So I will double click on that loop. It should select the whole loop. To make sure we can enable the see-through mode, I will hit N and G. Yeah, I have that edge loop selected. Now what I'm going to do is tap V, go to select, and then grab the fill selection tool. I will select that area only, then I will right click and split that part out. I will call this chair in. Then I'm going to go into edge mode. I just need to select the proper edge loops. This is the center, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will select the 4th line. I will double click. I don't need to do the same thing on the other side, as I can easily, you know, apply the symmetrize or symmetry tool in the right click menu. I also want to select the following edge loop. I will hold down shift, add these ones into my selection. Is this the right one? Yeah, it seems like. Anyways, now I will right click, select the bevel tool again, and bevel them out with 1 subdivision for the same reason. This is going to give us that edge loop in between the bevel. And by having that loop, we can select the loop, select the slide tool, and move these edges along their normals. Let's enable the subdivision surface. By the way, subdivision surface will only affect the object below, so you need to group those. I will hold Alt and G, then go back to this one. This edge loop is already selected, so all I need to do is select the slide tool, hold down shift, and move these edges along their normals. And this is going to give us that nice and organic look. Yeah, looks amazing. To fix that part, I will turn off the subdivision surface and hide that object above, and I will go into points mode. That part is a bit messy. The reason is we applied that slide tool to a very, you know, tight edge loop. By that I mean we have those components that are very close to each other, and that results in something like that. But since we have a relatively low polymesh, it's quite easy to fix. I will just move those things around until I have something reasonable. Let's unhide this one, enable the subdivision surface. I will also set the orientation of the orientation of the axis to normal, which is going to make things a bit easier to adjust. And this is looking good to me. Now let's back out. The other side is also looking well. We just need to, play around with those overlapping points. Now I will mirror this to the other side. To do that, I'm going to go into polygon mode first, then right click and open up the Symmetrize. If the link with hub option is enabled, just turn this off so we can adjust the mirror axis. Since I added those details on the plus side of the X, I should select plus to minus. Then I will hit OK. Well, it seems like it didn't work, and the reason is if you look at the top right part, the gizmo of the selection is not aligned with the world. So firstly, let's set this back to world, which will make things a bit easier to understand and, adjust. Now I will right click. Sorry, I should hit Ctrl Z because I need those details. Then I will right click, open up the options. I will set this to minus the plus because those details are actually on the minus side of the X. Looks good. Now we need another detail on the outside. So let me select this one. I will double click on that one. And then I will select the bevel tool again. I will keep it at 1. I mean the subdivision level, and bevel these out. By the way, I don't want to include those polygons to the bevel process. So double click on that edge loop so that we can make a fill selection to split that part out. Select fill selection, select that island, right click and split them. I will call this chair out, and then I will go back to the edge mode. I will select those edges, right click and apply the bevel tool. Once I have done that, I will follow a different approach to get that detail. It is not that visible from that image, but I know exactly what I need to do. I will go into polygon mode, select that loop first. Also, let me enable the solo mode. I want to make a loop selection, but loop selection selects the polygons that I don't want. So what we can do is select that polygon and go all the way up and select the last polygon. By the way, I will also hold down Ctrl and Shift. This is going to allow us to select the polygons in between the selected polygons, if that makes sense. Now I will right click, select the extrude tool and extrude these out. Again, make sure that the caps option is turned off. I will apply that amount of offset. Then I will tap E to exit the extrude tool. I will select the first polygon. I will go all the way down to the starting point, hold down Ctrl and Shift, select the polygon. Then I will right click, select the extrude tool. I will apply the same amount of offset. I will just click on apply. Let's enable subdivision surface and see what's going on. Well, yeah, this is basically what I want, but it is a bit too much. So I will firstly double click on those loops and slide them off to make that part a bit softer. I will do the same thing to the other side. And for the bottom, let me try to merge that one to that one. Yeah, that looks a bit better. I mean, it is not a realistic approach, but as long as it is not visible, it is not going to be a problem. And yeah, this is basically it. If you still find that effect, that detail too much, you can select those polygons and move them along their normals. Right click, go to the normal transform and grab the normal move tool. Enable the subdivision surface and play around with the tool until you have something that you like. Looks good to me. Now let's work around here. If you remember, we separated that part out, so we have some space between the objects. So why don't we select that loop? Hold down Control and extrude these down and scale them inwards a bit, just a little bit. I will also go into points mode. Let's turn off the solo mode. I will go into points mode. I will click off to deselect everything, and then I will right click, select the brush tool. I will enable the subdivision surface and oh, those points like so. Yeah, looks great. Now I will go into polygon mode and apply the, symmetrize. I will open up the options. This time around, we edit those details on the plus side of the X. So I should switch to the plus to minus. I will hit OK. And here we go. Let's click off, orbit around. Next up, we have the midsection of the chair. So let's add a disk. I will enable the wireframe mode. We have too many segments, so I will set this to 4 or say 8. I will make it editable. Then I will drop this one into a subdivision surface. I will move the disk around. By the way, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, so we can move things around. Like we can select the points on the sides and scale them a bit. I will drop the object into a thicken object. I will increase up the thickness. I also don't like those diagonal edges because, when I subdivide the mesh, this results in those irregular, polygons. So I will go into edge mode. Oh, sorry, I should turn off the thicken. I'm going to select those diagonal edges and right click and apply the matte tool. The solve tool is not going to work because it's going to remove the points connected to those edges. So I should apply the matte tool, which is above the dissolve. Perfect. Now if I enable the subdivision surface, you'll see that I have a better surface. I will simply make the thicken. Actually, we can make the subdivision surface editable. So I will tap C. Then I will move the object under the null that I have been using to subdivide everything. We can call this chair and that one pillow maybe. Next up, I will double click on that loop, scale it up. I will do the same thing to those edge loops. Okay, looks good to me. Next, I will select the edge loop in the middle, then bevel it. I will hit Ctrl Z because I want to set the subdivision amount to 0. I will do something like that. Now I will hold on Control, click on the polygon mode, and extrude those selected polygons out like so. I will slide these off. By the way, I am trying to get the same effect. I'm talking about that detail in the middle. So let's select those, right click, bevel. This time around, I will set the subdivision to 1. Bevel these out, select the edges in between, slide tool, Alt and Shift. Let's enable the subdivision surface. I will do the same thing, the other side. And yeah, that's it. If you don't like the shape, we can drop in an FFT deformer. Let's select the pillow, Alt and Shift, and add in an FFT deformer. I will go into points mode and move those points around. By the way, I am using the rectangle selection to adjust the FFT deformer because rectangle selection selects the points that are not visible in the viewport. You don't have to enable the see-through mode. So roughly select the edges and move them around until you have something that you like. We can also select the bottom point. Sorry, I will select them all and scale them up just to get a little bit more thickness. Then I will move them down and finally you can select that point in the middle and push it down. Maybe a little bit more. I will also add in more segments to the FFT to have control over that area where we have some overlapping going on over here. So I will go to the Z, increase that up, and I will only select those edges so that adjustment doesn't affect the whole shape, if that makes sense. Okay, looks great. I will finally select the bottom points of the FFT and scale them up because I don't want to see through the pillow, you know. You can note that you can apply the FFT tool to the chair itself, but firstly we need to combine those objects. So I will right click and then click on connect objects and click. Then I will hold down shift and add in an FFT deformer to the chair. I will go into point mode while the FFT is selected, and we can simply move things around. And what I need to do is select that one and move it up because it seems like the top part of the chair is a bit curved. So I will move that up. Yeah, that seems pretty good to me. I will also increase up the segments along the Z so that I can select those ones and move them up, which is going to restrict the adjustment to that area roughly. Now we can apply the deformer. I will right click and click on connect objects and delete. By the way, before finishing up the modeling process, let me select the pillow. I'm in the FFT of pillow. Select the top points and scale them up. I might need to adjust the pillow part later on, so I will keep it. I'm not going to make it editable, so let's just hide it. Also, let's check the normals are correct. Yeah, everything is looking nice, smooth, no problem at all, which means that we can move on to the next part.